Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC and this is Top 5s, the only weekly top 5 show in snowboarding that you come to see which boards are going to have you partying on the mountain. On today's episode we're going to be talking about the top 5 best party boards of the 24-25 season. Number 5 is the Salomon Dancehaul. This board is great where you can pretty much do anything with it. You can ride it in the slush, you can ride it in powder, you can just cruise groomers with it. You can even take it to the park because that's kind of where that flex is tailored towards, where you do have a camber dominant board with rocker on the nose and the tail, but the flex is crazy symmetrical. Even with a longer nose and a shorter tail, it feels the same. So you can butter around on this thing and have a really good time, but you can also lay an edge in and dig a trench if you want. You can really turn the park into a skateboarder's bowl paradise, or you can pop off all those lips and just have a good time like a regular park board. This thing really does it all, but in a nice playful way. Number 4 is the Ride Warpig. Now this board is awesome. It has been around for a long time, but now it does have a little bit of a tweak to it where they actually added a slim wall to it. So instead of having that big girthy urethane sidewall, they slimmed it down about 30% and it actually floats in the board, so it makes it a little bit more durable, and it also turns extremely hard now, where since it is a flat board with rocker on the nose and the tail, it didn't used to feel as precise, but now you can really lay in and really trust that edge where it feels a little bit more like a camber board than it does a flat board. Now that being said, you could still have a lot of fun on this thing where it is going to be softer. It only has carbon 3 in it, so you can really lean on that nose and just butter everything out. Same with the tail. Even though it is shorter, you still have a nice little pop on it where you're not doing all of the work yourself. That tail is going to be doing a little bit more. Now this board does have a twin side cut on it, so you can ride it switch totally fine, and it is extremely versatile because of that. Number 3 is the Stalefish. This board is awesome. It's a little bit higher end and a little bit more premium party board to it. So if you're that more advanced like park rider and you still want a directional party board, this would be the one for you. You're gonna have 3D shaping in the nose. That's also gonna be mixed with rocker as well with a camber dominant underfoot. So you're gonna get all that precision, drive, and pop you're looking for, but that nose is gonna keep it a little bit looser so you can still butter on it. And if you find some pow, you can still float really well. This board is nice and agile, but just keep in mind it is definitely lively. So if you're on that rougher, chundery terrain, you're gonna feel it a little bit more. But honestly, that really helps with that lively feeling because this board has springs to it. This thing has great pop because of those carbon rods in the tail. You don't have to load it up a crazy amount. There isn't a lag to it. This thing just has that abrupt snap that gets you right in the air. And because that tail is a little bit stiffer, it gives great landing gear to it as well. So even if you do land a little bit more back seat because that tail is shorter, this board is awesome. It's definitely more for that more advanced rider. So if that's what you are, this could be the board for you. Remember to like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our scheduled programming we have coming out. Number 2 is the Stranda Biru. This board is awesome. It is super fun, but it is going to be a little bit different than anything else that we've had on this list so far, where this board is going to be more of that turning party board than that freestyle party board. So this thing really holds an edge well. You do have an extra contact point right underneath the inserts there where they put out a little bit of a bump there. You don't notice it too much, but it just holds better than if they didn't have it. This board is awesome for when you're turning and then you just go into a butter. It does want to stay on the ground a little bit more than in the air, but that being said, it does have lively tendencies, but it is still damp because of that urethane sidewall. So it is the best of both worlds. So when you are getting in and out of turns, it springs you in and out like a lively board, but you don't feel all that chunder and crud underneath your feet. Honorable mentions. Remember, these are all great viable options to be a party board. They just weren't able to crack our top 5. The first honorable mention is the K2 Almanac. This board did replace the party platter, but they made a few tweaks to it. Where it is a little bit narrower now and a little bit more snappy, it actually kind of goes more towards that all mountain riding than it does to the party end of riding. So that's why it wasn't able to crack our top 5 this year. The second honorable mention is the Yes All In. This board has super soft nose and tail on it with a little bit of camber in between the feet. So buttering on this thing is super fun. Low angle stuff, it'll handle it, take it on the rails, do whatever with it, just have a good time. And the last honorable mention is the Roam Party mod. This board rides like a skateboard in almost every way. It's gonna have a flat camber profile to rocker on the nose and the tail, so it has a really good sweet spot on it for when you flex into it, get those presses, those butters down. This thing just rides like a skateboard. It's a little bit looser, but it's still really fun. Remember, all these honorable mentions are still great options. They just weren't able to crack our top 5 this year. If you're looking for another way to get involved in the community, head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Sure, I could explain it to you here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. And the #1 party board for the 2025 season is the Bataleon Party Wave. It's in the name. This board is super fun. It definitely tailors more towards that party carver where you ollie the slow sign and then right when you land, you get on that toe side edge and just make a full loop over that sign or around that sign that you just ollied over. This thing is really fun when it comes to carving. It is a little bit softer than the original version, so when you're buttering out of carves or anything like that, it holds up really well. You do have 3BT in the nose and in the tail, so if you're carving and just hitting that party board through slush, this thing does super well where it doesn't want to dig in over any of that snow, it just wants to skip right over it. It does hold an edge really well, so don't let that catch you off guard. I know party boards have more of a loose feeling to it, but this one can still feel nice and precise, where you don't just get pigeonholed in that party carver. You can take it a little bit outside its comfort zone and still have fun. This board is super versatile, but it definitely excels in that category where you just want to get on it and just have a good time with your friends, enjoy that sunshine, maybe even get a little bit of a sunburn, but that's why this board is #1. It's just super fun to ride. As always, guys, I've been your host, TC, and this has been the top 5 best party boards for the 2025 season. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say party boards, why don't you go check out the videos for each of these boards, and that way you know exactly what we're talking about.